Hey everybody, welcome to Talks with Toya. I have the Dr. Theresa Hairston on with me. I am beyond honored to have you with us today. When Mike told me it was you, I was like, oh, really? So
Oh,
welcome.
wow. It's my honor to be here.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got a couple folks in. If you have any questions, make sure you drop in. Again, I'm Toya with Talks with Toya here at Gospel Central, and I'm excited to talk about your new book.
Thank you.
So it's the hard copy just became available, what, Monday?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
It's a coffee table book, so it's a collectible. It's a large size book, so I'm really excited about it. I think it's something that people will treasure and pass on for generations. I think every church, every Christian home should have this book
Hmm.
because it features Gospel Today magazines from 23 years.
Really? And
So.
you can only order it online? I know I'm just jumping straight to where I can get this book because I'm
Right,
like,
right, right. Well, it's at Books to Live By right now, and it'll be there for 30 days. It'll go to Amazon later, but it's on Books to Live By, and the two is a number, bookstoliveby.com.
okay, so you guys heard that. Books2liveby.com. So that's where we have to get
Yes,
it. It's only on there for 30 days. And the ebook
yes,
is already available. That was available in February, right?
yes, exactly.
Okay. So your background, I was reading your bio and I was just really, especially with Women's History Month being this month, and we had our International Women's Day in March 8th. And I'm
Right.
just thinking about how you in the 80s, 1989, with what, $300 and started as a
Yeah.
single mom divorced. Like what was that journey like? And now you're Dr. Hairston, you've got all these things going, an amazing book out. Encourage the women like that to me. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Right, exactly. I was working two jobs and sometimes two and a half, three jobs, and had three kids, divorced, and trying to make it. I was working in New York City at the time and just really struggling, but I knew this was what God had for me to do. So I started a 4-page newsletter, $300 that I could just barely scrape together, and just started where I could start. It looked terrible, looked like a little Sunday morning church bulletin, or not even that good. And people talked about it. They were like, "Child, listen, that ain't gonna work. That don't
Look,
look good." And they would just
wow.
tell me straight out. And people would tell me, "Well, people don't like to read. Black folk don't like to read. Why are you starting something in publishing?" And I kept on going. I just said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And that's what you have to do when you believe that what you're doing is what God called you to do. I don't care if you got to do it in the basement, the garage, the back
Listen,
room, the bathroom. Just keep on doing
wow.
it. and once He breathes on it, that's all you need. So if God told you to do something, step out and just do it.
Wow. I would have never known that you said it started out as a bulletin.
Yeah, it was
A
like,
bulletin.
girl,
So
what is that?
so did you eventually just eventually get your like you actually became a publisher? So did you publish any other things for other people? Or are you doing that currently?
Oh yeah, I published for years. I did annual journals and all kind of stuff for people like Bishop Morton and Full Gospel, Bishop T.D. Jakes and MegaFest. We were the official magazine for MegaFest for all the years that it was here in Atlanta, in America. We published for Gospel Music Workshop of America. We did a special for Dr. Apostle Fred Price. We've
Yes.
published for all kinds of organizations, and it's just been a journey. Now I'm actually helping people publish their books. So I'm a ghostwriter and a publisher, and the bookstoliveby.com. If you go there, again, the two is a number. But if you go there, you'll see more than my book, but you'll see other books there as well. And I've just enjoyed, a lot of people have books in their heads, their hearts, their computers, just scraps of paper. And what it is that a lot of times we have not known people who can help us get it to the next place. So what I did when I kind of retired from Gospel Today, I retired from Gospel Heritage, I began to really pour back into the community and help people to do their books. So that's what I'm doing now, and it's just been wonderful.
Wow. So how many books do you have coming with Books to Live By? You have any other book? I
Oh,
know you
Books
have
to Live
yours
By
coming.
has probably 15 books on there that I've done over just the last year and a half.
Wow. That
Yes.
bad? Well, I
Yeah.
mean, 2020 we were on shutdown, so I was waiting on some good books to come. So yeah,
Yeah. And 2020, the shutdown was really how Unstoppable came about. This book that I have out now was a result of me going out of the country in 2019 in September. I went out of the country on a vacation, came back, and felt like when I got off the plane in Atlanta where I live, I felt like, oh, what is this? My head is like, I felt congestion and all this. 3 days later, instead of it, like going away, it got worse. I went At that point, I was so sick, I went to the emergency room.
mm,
The doctor came back in after all these tests and said, ma'am, we don't know what this virus is, but you got some sort of virus. Of course, at that time, we didn't know what COVID was.
right.
So she said, you have an unidentified virus and you have double pneumonia. And so I am like, okay, they check me in the hospital and I'm in the hospital, but they don't know what to do to treat this virus. And so I am getting sicker and sicker.
Mm,
And at this point, my organs are shutting down. I'm on heart monitors, I'm on oxygen, I've got this fever, and the doctors are literally shaking their heads. And so the nurse comes to me and she had been treating me and watching over me. She said, ma'am, I don't mean no harm, but do you have your end of life plans in place?
well,
And I was at that point like, wow, this is deep. So I whispered to my daughter, I said, come here, baby. I said, call people who can pray. And people began to pray around the clock around this country. And 3 days later, the Lord healed my body. And I got up out of that bed and I came home, my fever broke. And when I tell you, it was just the miracle of God in his and prayer. And again, this is the power of prayer that many times we don't want to talk about
mm,
publicly, but we need to tell people this is what brought us through. So I came home, and once I got myself together, because after COVID, it takes you a minute. So I got myself together and I remembered the words of that nurse saying, do you have your end of life plans in place?
mm,
And as I had begun to help people do their books. So I said, it's terrible that I haven't written my own story. And the Bible tells us that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our
preach,
testimony.
ma'am.
And so many of the testimonies that people have, they need to write, they need to publish. On the other side of your testimony, somebody's going to get healed, delivered. Somebody's dream is going to be released. Somebody's going to be encouraged. Somebody's going to be inspired. So that's why this book is so powerful, because it's not just about me. And
Mm,
even in the book, I sprinkle nuggets of wisdom to let people know, listen, I went through this. I went through that. I went through literally, I went from the outhouse to the White House. Because I grew up in a place where we had outhouses, literally.
wow.
And God allowed me years and years later to go into the White House, at the President Bush's administration, and they had a gospel celebration, and they asked me to host. And so literally, I was there hosting at the White House. So when I tell you we serve a God that can do anything but fail,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
what people need to know. And even in this post-COVID season, where we're trying to get through the pandemic and look like every time we make 5 steps forward, we take 3 or 6 backwards.
Mm-hmm.
But I want people to be encouraged to do your dream, do your vision, walk out your purpose. Don't give up. This is the season for forward. This is the season for just do it. This is the season where I can, and nobody can take it from me.
Listen. I can't wait.
I
I'm
know
gonna
I'm
order.
talking too much. I
No,
know.
you're not. No, this is. I need to hear from you. They don't need to hear from me. They came to see you and hear your awesome. I mean, I was going to ask you how the book started, but you already kind of explained it, like during
Yes.
that season.
Yes.
And I mean, woo. And then also being in a male-dominated field, right? Music
Yes.
is very. So you had those ceilings and things you had to crack or break. Like, what was that like during that time? Because that was what the late
Well,
'80s, early '90s.
yeah. Well, it's still, and I want to say this to women out there, especially women who have a call on your life. And all of us have a call on our life. All of us are born with purpose. And this is a male dominated society that we're really just now coming to, kind of deal with that high heels and boardrooms, and all of that we're struggling with. We're still having, especially in the Christian sector, to deal with misogynistic patriarchal attitudes. And it doesn't mean, that we're trying to be men. I like being a woman. I like being soft and putting on lipstick and
Yes.
doing hair, and all that's a part of this. And I like brothers opening doors and treating me like a queen. I want all of that, but I want to also be respected. I want to be honored. I want to be brought into the boardroom because I'm not just a pretty face. I have a mind,
That's
and my
right.
mind is sharp. And we are, as women, sharp. We are able to do amazing things. We're intellectual creatures as well as beautiful creatures. And
Mhm.
so we need to be honored, respected, and we don't need to push our way in. Brothers need to invite us in. The Holy Ghost is a gentleman.
Yes,
He
he
never
is.
pushes or shoves. So we really need to understand, and our brothers need to honor us as sisters, as mothers, as queens, as aunties, as daughters, so that they can show us, even the way men talk to us, talk about us. It really shows, it needs to show the respect of who we are and whose we are.
Yeah, that's deep. I was gonna ask you what was I mean you gave us that, but what was one of your most challenging times, within that male dominated field, and how did you overcome that? Like, I guess give an example if you wish to share. And I mean,
Oh,
I,
I was telling someone else on the interview, I was talking about one of the crazy things that happened to me, among all the, it's just a lot, but a lot of times the ceiling is lower for you.
mhm,
Men don't think you are supposed to have as much money or as much notoriety or as much success. And, so I was dealing with this contractor, a vendor that I had hired, white guy. And I'd hired him to do some work for the magazine, and he didn't do a good job, and he didn't finish the job. So I paid him, what I felt it was worth. And I said, that's all you're getting. And he was like, screaming and going off and all this. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. He decided he would take me to court. And when he took me to court, he told the judge she doesn't own this publication. She don't own this company anyway. And the judge said, "Well, sir, according to the paperwork that I have, she does own this." And the white guy was like looking for my boss. Well, let me speak to your boss. I said, "Well, my boss is God, and you can talk to him anytime. But other than that, I'm the one you're gonna have to deal with."
here on earth,
Right?
this is ridiculous.
So it's just it's just interesting because a lot of times people try to demean you and
Mhm.
demean, the positioning that you have. They just can't believe that you did this, so it's really amazing. And I find out even in our own community, not only our brothers but our sisters have to learn to respect and honor and push each other. Women have to learn to we have to learn to unite and to come together. And just like you're having me and celebrating and saluting me as a woman in this Women's History Month, I have been celebrating and saluting other women who, I have pulled up and I have encouraged and I have been a part of blessing them and sowing into their lives and buying their products. I love it when I see my sisters excel. And that's what we need to do for each other is push each other forward because God knows we got enough people pushing us down.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So you built when you decided to, I know you mentioned, you said a lot, and I'm like, oh, but when you decided to retire or move away from the magazine, how was that transition for you? You know how that's your baby.
Yeah.
So as a
Well,
woman,
what I had to understand was I will always be the founder. And when you birth something out, a lot of times, just like, when you become an empty nester and those kids go off to college, you like looking in their rooms, talk about I remember and looking at baby pictures and all that stuff. But, you have to evolve. And what I found out is if you continue to stay in the same place, the place you're comfortable in, the place you get stuck.
Mm.
And it's like we go to the store, we buy a banana, and we want a yellow, pretty banana, but I bet you don't want to take it home and keep it for 2 months
That's true.
or 2 years.
That's a
It'll
good
be
way to.
something horrible. And so it's the same thing. There are seasons, and when we evolve past a certain season, we have to learn to let go. And a lot of time as women, we hold on to relationships, we hold on to just stuff. We
Mm.
hold on to clothes we can't even wear.
Come
And
on.
we have them in the closet talking about, child, I know that's a pretty dress. I paid it, whatever for that dress.
Yeah,
I ain't wear.
hold
And we just
tight.
holding on to stuff that we never will use. So I had to let go of what was behind me in order to move forward for what was ahead of me.
That's good. That's good. So in Unstoppable, we get some of these things in there as well.
Oh
That you're.
yes, Toya. And I'm very transparent in this book.
That's good.
And sometimes there'd be days I would be writing the book, and I have to like sit down and just like take a minute, because sometimes you're pouring out so much,
Hmm.
and it's like, whoo, did I say that? Oh, yeah, okay, I had to share that. But a lot of times, again, if you're not telling the truth and telling your whole truth, a lot of times people, they think, oh, it's just glitz and glam and she just had a great time. No,
That's
you
true.
need to know that my face was broke when I went through certain things, and I got to the point where I was depressed, and I went through seasons where I didn't think I was enough. I went through seasons where I
Hmm.
wanted to give up. I wanted to throw in the towel. People go through that. And unless I told my story, somebody else would think, well, she must not went through that. So why am I going through it? No, you need to
Right.
know that other people have been where you are. So that's why these books are so important. And that's why these testimonies help us to overcome and to be better.
So the stories you have in the book, are there any particular favorite artists? And I know you have to be off at a certain time, but that was my last question. Like, what artists can we hear about with your journey and working with different folks? And
Oh, wow. I think one of the fun things I talk about is Tyler Perry.
okay,
Tyler, he invited me to one of his plays, and I was there, and the after party or whatever. And so he was like, "Hey, Theresa, I want to get with you, and I want to talk." I said, "Okay, okay." So I gave him my number. He gave me his, and so I'm like, "Okay." I called him a couple times, whatever. Then one day I get a call. "Hey, Theresa, this is Tyler. I just landed at the airport in Atlanta. Are you in your office?" He comes and picks me up, takes me to his house. And this is the house that you saw in the movie where it had the infinity
yeah,
pool. So we go
hmm,
there. He gives me a tour of the house. Then he says, I wanted you to see something. He sits me down and shows me the clip from him being on Oprah. And he says, you know what? This is just a miracle. All of this is the miracle of God. He says, and I really want you to tell my story in Gospel Today. And that was it. I did it. So yeah, and people so the thing about, and this is what I share in the book. Tyler was telling me in this interview, in this time we spent together, that he had just come from California, because he lives here in Atlanta. So he had come from California, meeting with some studio folks, and they
hmm,
would not give him the rights. They wanted to do, all his stuff, but they didn't want to give him the rights back. They wanted to own it. And he said he refused to give up his rights. And I
hmm,
thought to myself, I'm sitting there talking to him, and I'm thinking, is this dude crazy or is he a genius?
yep,
And of course, years later, we found out he is a
yep,
genius. And
yep,
that's, those and so what I did was I had my son do the interview with him because my son was working for me as a writer. And I
okay,
had my son do the interview because I wanted him to feel, to just vibe with that energy, because
hmm,
there's something about being in that room and rubbing up against people who have, overcome things.
that's
So
right.
that's, and there are so many great stories. You got to get the book, people.
You gotta get it.
Bookstoliveby.com. So that's it.
I know you gotta go.
I got to roll.
I
But
know.
thank you, Toya.
Yes, ma'am.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Bless
Love you.
you.
Yes.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you. See you. Nice meeting you. Have a
All
great
right.
night.
God
Great
bless.
day.
Bye.
Bye. Listen, guys, that was the Dr. Theresa Hairston. If you have not picked up her book, you can do so Unstoppable at bookstoliveby.com. It's the number 2. It's in the comments. Next, we have one of the another leading gospel industry exec, Miss Eboni Funderburk, who will be joining us. But in the interim, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Potential to Promise, who is launching their catapult retreat. And I just want to run a quick video for you to kind of, it's for 25 women. We're celebrating Women's History Month, excuse me. And this conference is going to be amazing. Personal trainers, a luxury retreat. We've got the chef, and there's all kind of luxury items. Coach Ashanti Lancaster is laying it out. So if you have not heard about the Catapult Retreat, stand by, take a peek.
Ladies, it is Coach Ashanti with Potential to Promise, and I'm coming to you today with an exciting opportunity. I am having a luxury retreat in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It is called the Catapult Retreat. I understand that some of us need assistance in being launched into our next season. We'll be coaching on momentum, the discipline of execution, and the power of managing your shifts. We will enjoy rest, relaxation, chef-inspired meals, celebrity trainers. You do not want to miss this opportunity. If this is something that fits you, if you need help launching into the next season of your life, I dare you to click the registration button right now. Remember, I only have room for 25 of you. Make sure that you are on the list, and I want to help you catapult.
So shout out to Potential to Promise on their Catapult Retreat. I know it's going to be amazing. Coach Ashanti is no joke. So if you have not met her and tuned in with her, you definitely want to check out potentialtopromise.com to get more information about the Catapult Retreat. I do appreciate her being one of the sponsors for Talks with Toya. And we're going to have her on before the end of the month for sure. Next week, March 31st, on Wednesday in the evening around 7 o'clock, I believe 8, I have to double check with the station manager, we will have a women who are successful in the industry. And we have this amazing panel. I don't think I'm going to tell you just yet, unless you really, really, really want to know who it is. You can maybe talk me out of it, but it'll be a surprise. That information will be coming. And again, we have Miss Eboni Funderburk coming up next at 3:30. I was just going to talk with y'all and just hang out with y'all for a minute in between and make sure we take care of all of our sponsors. How y'all doing post-COVID? I mean, COVID, I shouldn't say post-COVID. I know we're still going through. We're still getting vaccinated. At those of you that are, I hope that you are doing well. But I'm just excited. Women's History Month is a great month. There's been a lot of great women in my life. So I want to shout out to my mom and grandma, who are amazing women who have pushed me to be the woman that I am today. And after talking with Dr. Theresa today, like, her story is just so inspiring as a woman in the industry and trying to make it. Like, she just made me feel like I could do it. So shout out to Dr. Theresa again. But we have that panel coming up. Wanted to check in to see how everybody was doing. Miss Eboni Funderburk is coming up next at 3:30. You heard about the Catapult Retreat. The country is opening up a little bit more. Shout out to all of our educators, if I have not said so. Being a school board member myself here locally, I want to shout out to all of the educators. Thank you for what you're doing and what you have been doing during COVID. I know going from a in-person classroom and taking all that material and bringing it in, as to bring it in, to make it virtual and still make it inviting and keeping the kids engaged and working with the parents. You've put in more hours than probably you've ever put in your career. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Shout out to all of those educators, the administrations across the U.S. Like, you guys have really done an amazing job. Shout out to my personal school district, Groveport Madison, where I serve as the school board vice president, and definitely wanted to do a shout out to our educators because, you guys are definitely setting the future up with our youth, and without you all, regardless if you're virtual or you are in person, we wouldn't be where we are. So just wanted to say that. And then for Women's History Month, wanted to shout out to our medical staff as well. Not that the men's staff are not important, but it's very rare you meet a lot of female doctors, nurses and such. So I just wanted to say thank you all for all your support and all the hard work that you all are doing during this time. And let's not forget our folks that are in public service. You still had to provide public service in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, everyone has adjusted, and I think that you guys have done a great job and have been a blessing to those that you serve, and it is not taken lightly. So if no one else has told you thank you, Talks with Toya, Gospel Central, is telling you thank you today. So we're waiting on Miss Eboni. I did want to mention a couple reviews that we've done recently, music reviews. Lanasia Tyson. If you have not heard of Lanasia Tyson, you need to go and check out her singles called Forward. You need to check that out. She is doing well on the Billboard, I believe, as well as Miss Nia Allen with her song Wait. I think she reached number 9, so congratulations to her. I saw her post about that earlier on, and definitely congratulations to Miss CeCe Winans on her number 1, which is one of my favorite songs, Believe For It, which I keep on repeat. My kids are tired of me playing it, but thank you so much, Miss CeCe Winans, for your music. It's inspiring. So shout out to those 3 ladies. I mean, doing their thing. I know Lanasia's on an independent label. I'm not too sure about Nia, but just wanted to shout those 3 ladies out. I've been listening to your music in rotation, and you guys have truly been a blessing. So if you have not checked out Nia Allen, please do so. I believe she's on all social media outlets, and her music is on all digital musical outlets that you can purchase. And again, her song is entitled Wait. And then Lanasia Tyson, Lenisa, I believe. Tyson is her last name. Her song Forward is amazing. I had the opportunity of meeting with her about 2 years ago with the owner of the station, Mr. Gospel Central himself, Mr. Mike Stewart, and we did a listening party for her record. And so I had an opportunity to hang out with her. And now she's doing another single, which is amazing. So if you haven't had a chance to pick that up. And then again, of course, I'm pretty sure you've heard Miss CeCe Winans' song, Believe For It. And I think she had another single out. Believe For It that was my favorite. So I'm just waiting on Miss Eboni at this point. I know she just finished up. I don't know if you all have heard of her, but she is behind a lot of people. She left the industry, working for a record label, to start her own consulting and radio promotions firm. I know she's finishing up a beautifully bold or conference today in Nashville virtually, where they were talking about women of color and their impact in male-dominated field in the music industry. So she was just serving on that panel. We'll be jumping over to hang out with us for a little bit, but I thought I'd drop by, share that. Again, shout out to Potential to Promise on that catapult retreat. So if you have not, ladies, if you're listening or you have a friend, go ahead and share the video. Again, it's Potential to Promise. It's the catapult retreat, and you can go visit the website for more information, potentialtopromise.com, to get more information and register and start making your payments, because it's in June. It's a full luxury retreat, as you heard from her on her promo video that we just played as one of our sponsors. And you don't want to miss it. Chef, like, she's taking care of you from the moment you get off the plane, or however you decide to arrive, to the time you get back on the plane to go home. So from a personal coach, actual fitness coach, Chris Downing, Lucinda Cross will be present. So we've got some heavy hitters. And then, of course, Coach Ashanti, who's just dope. And we'll be there to minister and help us women who are ready to catapult. We're always launching. I love the name Catapult because sometimes we're always launching. It's almost like a restart, but this time we're just going. It's full. It's time to go to that next level. So she's pushing us to our next with the Catapult Retreat 2021. The dates, I think, it's 3 days, June 10th through the 13th. I think that's what was up on the screen in the video. So I'm excited to go and get me a personal chef, not have to cook for a little bit, and enjoy some time on the beach. And relax. So again, it's been a pleasure to connect with everyone. Again, for Coach Ashanti, the music that's out, women are just doing their thing. And next week, I'm just really, 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 really excited about the panel. I guess I'll talk about it just a little bit now. So next week, we are honoring successful women in the industry. And I have everyone from Miss Mita Washington from Sirius XM. I have Miss Willie Mae, a veteran in the industry. So I'm just really excited. So stay tuned for that flyer and that information and check in with us. And I have Miss Eboni here with us. I'm going to bring her on now just so we can chat a little bit. Hi, Miss Eboni.
Hello. How are you?
How are you? Long time. I know Ben had actually introduced us in a chat a while ago and we never caught up. And so I don't know if you put the full circle together when you saw the name or when Mike told me your interview. I was like, I was supposed to reach out to her before. I was like, so God has his way of doing things.
He does.
So congratulations on your number one, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. You're talking about which one? CC Winans?
Oh, see, listen, which one? See that right there? I love it. Yes, I saw your Instagram post about it. So, and that is one of my favorite songs. I was just telling everyone, like, I love that record. So which one? So give me the rest of them then.
Well, now CC is number one on her album that just dropped last the week or the 12th.
Right.
Everything is running together for me here. I don't even know where we are. 25th. Okay. 25th. So her album just dropped and came in number one on 4 Billboard charts. We're super excited about that. 2 of her songs, Never Lost and Believe For It, which is the title track, are sitting number 2 and 3 on the Hot Gospel Songs chart. So we're just over the moon with CC. She's been doing phenomenal, and her one of her songs is also number 1 on the Gospel Digital Songs chart. So we're excited about that. And then we just had Kalante Gavin, Hold Me Close, went number 1.
Look at you. Work,
yes.
ma'am. Work, ma'am. Work.
We're working on this Byron Cage. I Can't Give Up. Hopefully number 1 on Billboard, but he was number 1 on Media Base. So yeah, this year has already kind of started out to a nice bang. And then I've got EC Never Lost coming up and a Kaylin Carr coming up. So we're really, we're working hard over here. That's all.
Yes, ma'am. And it shows. It shows. Like you said, which one? I said, oh wow. Excuse me.
I didn't read it like that though.
I'm joking. I stand corrected. She said, which one? Y'all hear that? She said, which one?
Oh Lord.
run your receipts, ma'am. Listen, you're doing your thing. I mean, I read your bio. I had knew some things, but there's some things I didn't know, like that you had you actually just kind of left the record label and just really started your own consulting firm. So really, you're doing your thing. Congratulations. I kind of did the same thing last September, left my job and moved forward and doing my own consulting and such as well. So I love when I meet other women that are doing the same thing. And we just had Dr. Theresa Hairston on with her story too. So I was just like, Women's History Month is amazing.
Yes, and Dr. Theresa Hairston actually gave me my first job in gospel music.
Wow, look how full circle.
Yes, I worked at Gospel Industry Today and Gospel Day magazine. So those were my first jobs in gospel music.
Wow,
mm-hmm.
Full circle. She was just on at 3.
Oh,
yep, she was just on at 3. She had to go at 3:20, but she was just on at 3. And I said, mentioned that you were. I don't think we talked about you being on, but I know I posted about it. But man, you're just doing a lot. You just finished this panel too. I saw that you were on the panel in Nashville.
Yes,
beautifully
bold panel. And we discussed African American women and being able to make it and to establish yourself and do well in business in a male-run genre. And so that was an amazing panel, and just to hear different perspectives and these just wonderful women giving some great advice on how they've made it to where they are, and what challenges they faced and what they had to overcome to get there. I think was just it was very rich. We enjoyed it.
So how did you jump from, so you got now you told us where you got your first 2 jobs.
Yes.
So then how did you get into working at the label? How did that transition happen?
Actually, it started as an internship. Clyde Duffy, one of the Duffy brothers, D3 Entertainment with Michelle Duffy and his twin brother, Kendall Duffy. They do a lot of film stuff now. But Clyde was working as a promotions manager at the time at Verity Records, and they were looking for an intern. And so I don't know how I found out about it, but I applied for the job. Somebody, this is why it's good to know people and network a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
And I applied for the job. They hired me as an intern in 98. That's how old I am. And,
well, okay.
And then they kept me. They hired me officially like 3 months later. It was like, we like you, what you do, your work ethic, come on in here. I need an assistant. So I came in as, I think it was a promotions assistant, radio promotions assistant in that department. But I stayed in radio promotions the entire time. So I just moved up, went to become a promotions manager, I believe it was. And then I was recruited over to EMI Gospel.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So I went over there and headed up the promotions department. When I say headed up, it's really hilarious because it was just me. So I was with everybody.
That's hilarious.
But it was just me. So every time it was so funny because I remember catching myself a few times, and I still do this today, talking about myself as if I'm in third person. It's like, we're doing this and we're doing that and we're doing this. And it's like, well, who's the we? I should say, well, I'm doing this and in my brain, it was like, this is a team effort. But then it's like, but I am the team. I don't know. Me, myself, and I. So we are doing, and so I was over there for about 5 years. Uh-huh. And that's where I really, everything I learned at Verity and sitting under Jeff Grant and Clyde Duffy, where I had to really take all that knowledge, everything I learned, and really apply it. And it was good because I felt like it was my becoming moment. I blossomed there. So at EMI Gospel, I broke records. Kiara Sheard, you don't know. Micah Stampley, Take My Life Holiness was me. Bishop Eddie L. Long and New Birth Total Praise Choir had a big song. We had LaShawn Pace, Vanessa Bell Armstrong, Donald Lawrence, Encourage Yourself, and The Blessing of Abraham. I love that record.
That is amazing. You naming all my staples, so we're good. I'm just like,
yeah. I got to meet and work with so many people. I think when I first got to Verity, when I came to Nashville, let me back it up. Before I got my job at with Gospel Today and Gospel Industry Today magazine, I had only dreamed about breaking into the music industry. And I remember one day at Verity pinching myself because I'm like, oh my God, like I am getting to meet all of these gospel artists that I wanted to be like, I only dream like Daryl Coley, and Vanessa Bell was at Verity at the time when I came on, but John P. Key, Bishop Hezekiah Walker, Fred Hammond. I remember riding around in my car killing Pages of Life. Okay. Like it was on repeat. And here I am meeting Fred Hammond. It was just like, what is really happening? It was so amazing. That was just one of those. I remember getting turned on to Donald Lawrence and the Tri-City Singers in college, Bible stories. One of my friends was like, have you heard this guy? And I remember playing the cassette tape and thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. And I fell in love with the choir and all that. And then here I was at EMI Gospel actually working with him and getting to know him and working with the Merles, which was his group that came out of Tri-City Singers. And that whole experience, and Smokey Norfolk.
Listen.
And that whole experience to me, because I came in at the tail end of I Need You Now, and every hit that Smokey Norfolk had was us. Me, myself, and I. At radio. We did it.
You did it.
That was me at radio, and then of course he crossed over to Urban AC at that time, because now it's adult R&B is what they're calling it, Urban AC format now. So I mean, it's just been an amazing journey for me, and then being recruited back to Verity, which was really Zamba gospel, because I was kicking their butt. They won't tell you that, but I was killing Clyde and Jeff. Can I just say that? Well, no, I think Clyde had left. Clyde left, so I kind of took his spot. I came in as senior director of promotions, which is what he was before he left to go to blow up over here on the film side. But I was kicking their butt. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Ha 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 ha.
They weren't ready. They weren't ready.
They were like, we need to. If we can't beat them, join them. So come back over here. And they paid me a good salary too. And but then the Lord in 2008 told me very plainly to leave and to start my own business. He told me very plainly. And it was so ironic because, I'm just talking. I'm sorry.
No. The funny thing is, everything I want to ask you, you hit. So I'm just soaking it up. Like, okay. Because I was going to ask you what made you. I was going to ask you what made you leave, and you hit it. I was like, well, she's it. We're in tune.
Yeah. Because when I resigned, we had just come off of, at that time, one of the biggest records in gospel, which was Never Would Have Made It. Marvin Sapp. No, mind you, we had other records, Kirk Franklin. And who else did we have coming out then? We had a Richard Small. I love working with Richard Smallwood. I forgot Richard Smallwood. And so many other people. Ty wasn't. Ty was actually when I got on my own. But in 2008, I was actually going through a divorce, a separation that I didn't know was going to lead to a divorce, but it did. Okay. And 2 children under 2 years old. Ooh. And the Lord told me very plainly to leave. He didn't say leave. He said, start your business. And I remember there was so much chaos going on, and then being on the road and working, having to leave the house with my children and my then husband, and kind of being the breadwinner of the house, and being overwhelmed. And there's a lot going on because now you got this family issue, that dynamic that's falling apart, and then you got a lot of responsibility on you as senior director of promotions. It was like, and then the Lord every time I experienced peace was when he was saying, start your business. So it became where I could not deny that the Holy Spirit was saying, it was an urgency behind it. So I remember calling up Jeff and telling him, and then Jazzy, who I love, Jazzy Jordan, hit me up and said, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I'm like, this is what the Lord told me to do. I remember him saying, well, I can't fight with the Lord. I can't go against what the Lord said. Okay. And I chuckled, but I started my own business. And I remember before I left, Ken Cook used to work at EMI Gospel, and I don't know if anybody remembers Ken Cook. He actually passed of cancer. Loved him. When I left EMI, I had actually recommended him as my replacement at EMI Gospel. Great guy. And he was doing his thing, and he had just passed. And so they were kind of looking for what they were going to do next in radio promotions. And I mentioned to Ken Pennell, who was the president at the time, he's since retired, that I was going to start my own business. He was like, good, we're hiring you. And EMI Gospel became my first client and ended up being with me for 10 years straight. And under EMI Gospel, we got Vashawn Mitchell, Nobody Greater, Ty Tribbett. If You Did It Before, Same God. What else came? I mean, Brian Courtney Wilson. We're Fighting For. I mean, we've had some great records during that season as well. So yeah, and then I've always been the type of person that says, let your integrity go before you. Let your name be your calling card, and do it all in the name of the Lord. And
That's
that
right.
is one thing that I've tried to protect with myself and my business. And the Lord has just blessed me so that I don't really have to advertise my business or anything like that. I get calls. And he's just made it so I've had some incredible artists that I've gotten to work with EFG Promotions. And the best part about it is I can kind of pick and choose who I want to work with.
That's right.
Sometimes on the label side, you just take what you got.
Right. And
so
you may not always agree.
Right. But this way, I've had an opportunity to really lock arms and partner with people whose ministries I really believe in. And I know that their character speaks for itself. So I've had some amazing clients like a CeCe Winans, like a Jacqueline Carr. She and her family have been one of my clients for years now. And to watch her grow up, just like I watched Kiara grow up, it's just, it's been amazing. And I'm honored to be a part of her team, and honored to be a part of CeCe's team, and honored to be with Byron, and honored Kalante Gavin is another. I just recently got him, and he just had his first #1. I'm honored to be a part of that. I mean, it's, everything I do is really for the Lord, for my kids, and for my ministry, for this industry. So, yeah.
So now that you've been on your own, how have you expanded? Like, I know it was your me, myself, and I. So have you expanded? When did you decide that you either needed to hire, if you have or have not, or subcontract things out so you have some time for me, myself, and I? Because I know as a mom, I'm in the same boat. I went through a divorce. That's kind of where I built a studio. So I'm not on the radio side, but I wanted to do a studio because I love music. So I sing, right? But, when did you know it was time to kind of hire a you for you?
Ma'am. Okay, so this is where I am going to put a little publicity out there. I am looking.
Okay.
And this is, I think, the challenge of having a successful business where it's just been you grinding for so long, is sometimes learning how to relinquish the reins on some things, because in your mind it's like, if you don't do it, it's not going to get done right. Well, if you want to have others like you come up in the industry and are able to progress in the industry, because you're not going to be here forever. And I think this is a part of the issue that we found even with gospel artists, and them really turning around and really sewing into other young artists coming up. Some of that is, sharing the success, or knowing that somebody else can be more successful to you from an artist perspective. But then from this side of the fence, it's like finding people who have the same work ethic, the same drive, the same excellence in what they do, that have a skill set, because this takes a skill set to do. Sometimes you have to play the villain. Sometimes you're the bad guy. Sometimes you take the hit so that your artist looks good, even if it's not you, or, and then also being able to take the critique and the criticism when it does come. I'm going to tell you, Smokey Norfolk really helped grow me up in some areas when it came to road managing, because Smokey coming up, he was he was larger than life, especially behind I Need You Now. He was, people on the urban side as well as the gospel side, the mainstream side as well as the gospel side, knew who he was. So there was a level of protection we had to kind of give him.
Okay.
And I had to learn what that looked like. Like, no, ma'am, sorry. Nope. Because they will come and just roar. And you're sometimes, hey, 50 feet. And you have to be assertive enough to say, oh, no. And so I had to learn that with Smokey, and what I learned with him, I could apply to other artists, because you understand you have to be the first line of defense when people are seeing a star and want to be just, you know, on them. And those are things sometimes you learn through experience. But grooming someone to come up under me to help with this has been a challenge for me. And I am looking for at least two. Is there two? Is there two? Is there two? Is there three? Is there three? Is there two?
Wow. I would have thought you had a whole, and I get it. And I think that's one thing. It's a blessing. And then maybe I wouldn't say a curse, but that's the beauty of us women, especially Black women. We will make it look like you have an entire corporation, baby. And it's one person. Make you look like you got a whole fleet of people, vehicles, you know, whatever it is you're doing, because we know what we see and what God puts in us. And hearing your story, I'm sitting here like, wow, I'm talking to myself, right?
Yeah. And you know what? We have to find time for ourselves. Otherwise we'll get burnt out.
Yeah.
And for me, the challenge, just like you said you had children.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this becomes 4.
Mm-hmm.
Bless you. God bless you. Bless you. How old are they? Now I'm sister girl. Let me interview you. How old are your children?
So, 18, 11, 5, and 3.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have one out the house, right?
No, one still. He graduates, so he's still in the house. And
okay, but he's getting ready to leave the house.
Yeah.
11, 5, and 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh boy. So I'm a little further than you. I've got a 14 and 15-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why, a 13 and a 14-year-old, about to be 14, 15 this year. And the reason why I say I'm a little further than you, because you have one that's going out. So really it's the 11, the 5, and the 3.
I got a long way to go. But it's okay. But the funny thing is, like, I don't know if you brought your kids in to see your work and see how you work. I let my son, like, I had a client and I had him do the radio commercial. Let him sit down and see my thought process. Now I could be wrong or right or wrong how I wrote. So I was wondering the same thing. Did you do the same thing with your kids? Like, do they get to kind of be an apprentice sometimes?
You know what? It's really funny. The girl's dad is musically inclined as well. And, he used to be a producer. He's doing something else. So they understand, they know mommy is on the road, and the artists I get to work with, they fan out with some of the artists I get to work with, mainly CC. But they have other things they want to do. Like I have a baby who wants to be in the FBI. And I have my oldest wants to be a mogul, an entrepreneur, a multimillionaire, and help other businesses come up. So, you know, from an entrepreneur standpoint, yes, I let them see what I do. But my baby, it's all about the guns.
I'm a military girl. I'm an Army vet, so I respect it. I'm not mad. Yes. I get it.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm trying to, as a mom, really learn how to sew into that when I discover. And it's the same with me with music. I thought I was going to be a singer.
I was going to ask you that too.
I thought I was going to be a singer. I got here. I always tell Demetrius Alexander is the one who busted my bubble. She'll be mad at me if I said that. But at the time, I'm going to tell this story if she's watching. I don't know. But at the time, she was over Warner Alliance. And it was Take 6 and Donnie McClurkin and a couple of other people were on that label at the time. And my aunt knew the president of Warner Country, who knew Demetrius. So she got me a meeting with Warner Country. I wasn't doing country. And he got me the meeting with Demetrius. See, it's all about networking and who you know. And Demetrius sat down and listened to my demo, and I would never forget, like it was yesterday. She says, well, you know, not everybody is called to the music side, the singing side. Are there other things? I mean, she was trying to very nicely say,
at least she was nice about it, though.
She was very nice about it. She was, and she's the one that got me my first job with Theresa. So she was trying to get me in there. But she was just saying maybe the singer side won't go. Maybe that won't go to be one.
So and you really wanted to be a singer, though? Like you really?
I mean, I can sing, but baby, you get into the label side and start meeting the artists and start really hearing the singer sing. And it's like, yeah, that wasn't me. Yes, Beverly Crawford. And I've gotten an opportunity to work with Beverly Crawford too. So, I mean, Yeah, Warner Alliance. That was way back in the day.
So you still don't think you're going to do an album?
Oh, absolutely not.
Really? Do you write?
I mean, I know writers.
You're wiping me out.
I know writers. I know singers. How do I fit in there? I think I'm good on the praise team at church.
Okay. Amen. Everybody knows. So do you sing at your church?
Yes.
Well, there it is then.
Not in COVID.
Oh.
But
let's be clear.
COVID. Yeah, I was on the praise team. And I enjoyed it. Yes. Do
you play the instruments as well?
I tinker on the piano, but I'm saying it's a tinker, child.
You can't play a full song?
Baby, don't get me up. Is there one that can play Amazing Grace?
You are wiping me out today. My face hurts. I'm laughing so hard. Listen. Oh my goodness. So you're looking for somebody. I mean, you're killing the game though. You said one or two. Is there two? Okay. Y'all heard it. She's looking for somebody.
I'm looking for somebody. And let me give you my email address if you think that you're that somebody.
Okay.
You ready? It's Funderburk, F as in Frank, UNDER, B as in boy, URK, at EFG as in goat, promotions with an S.com. And say you saw me talking right here, and that you think you the one. I would like to know. Please do. Yes, attach a nice little resume, or put a little cover letter, something there. But I am looking. Yes, I am.
That's good. I mean, I don't know how you've been able to keep up with everything. So definitely time management.
I don't sleep. I dream work. I will dream that I'm working. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and start taking notes. It's just how we do. I'm a workaholic.
Do you vacation? Like, me and my kids, we just had this conversation because I'm in the same boat. And like, I quit. I've had my company for a while, but I quit my job in September. I work for the federal government, by the way. So it's funny. Your son wants to go to the FBI. Had a great job, great salary, walked away. First contract was half as my first salary. That's the reason why I walked away. And I don't do radio, but I do PR and stuff like that. So marketing. So, my son said
your first contract was half of your salary with the federal government.
But
the federal government benefits are really good now.
I know.
They are really good. Now, are you in DC?
No, I'm not. I'm actually in Ohio. I was virtual on top of that, so I didn't even have to go in the office. I could. But God told me to. Same thing. Like when you said that, He said it's time to go, and I had so much peace, and it was like how things were happening. I had to, like, it was no choice. Like it just didn't work. And I was sick to my stomach. You get sick to your stomach. Like this is not where I need to sit. Like, this is not what He has for me. There's more. And it's like, now that I've done it, I'm like, wow, it wasn't that bad. He was just like, it was like, almost like, trust me. Have you seen that Facebook or that social media picture where the little girl has this teddy bear and it's small? And she's like, oh, I want to keep this one. And God has this huge bear behind his back. That's what it felt like once I finally did the leap. I was like, wow. And I had small children, started my company during my divorce. The first time, but then actually quit the job to really do it full time. Like I work with do PR and stuff for Men of God's Heart. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're actually on. That was Marvin, one of my clients, my very first client who recorded their record here, Stellar Award nominated off of that. So just I get it. You got to take a vacation. I'm taking my first one finally.
Okay. Where are you going?
I'm going to go to Florida. I think I'm going to go to Florida.
In COVID?
Yeah, I am going to go in COVID. I am.
So I'm trying to understand this. So how are you going? Are you going to a hotel?
I'm driving.
Airbnb?
We're going to drive. So we're going to kind of be like, I didn't want to fly. Like I told my husband, I'm not getting on no plane. That's not happening. Yeah, no. I told the kids, no, we're not doing no plane. We're going to just get in the vehicle and road on, trip that, and enjoy the scenery, play the ABC game. My friend was like, yeah, play the ABC game with the kids, They're very, that's the plan. Like, I don't want to, because my son said something to me powerful. Like you said, you're a workaholic. I dream work too. My brain never stops. Like, I am in my sleep dreaming. So I think it's that you're killing it makes sense. It just makes sense. You're beast mode. Like, I can't even, but you got to take a break because my son.
Yeah, because you're operating on this level. Yep. I have several clients that have expectations.
That's right.
And part of my drive is, one of the things I always say is I have to do things in excellence. I'm not always going to win. Okay. That's the reality of it. You're not always going to get a top 30 single. And matter of fact, I'm getting ready to do a talk, I think, tomorrow on managing expectations, because a lot of artists coming into the industry feel like they should have the same success that someone who's been in it for 6, 7, 8 years has. And that's built and laid foundations and built relationships and networked and actually been out branding and that kind of thing. So I'm always harping on managing expectations, but again, with working hard, one thing I have learned as a woman of a certain age, that your health is important, especially if you plan to be around for your kids to become of age.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn, even if I'm not leaving the house, I've had to learn to take time out for me. Sometimes that means I cannot answer the phone. I put the phone away and I'm doing something else and I'm not even looking at the phone. Now I'll come back to the phone and people have texted me because when you work for yourself, people don't expect you to have a vacation. They don't expect you to take time. You're supposed to be 24-hour,
And when they call, you should pick up.
And you should pick up.
And almost, I think you also almost have that sense of expectation, I felt at one point almost obligated that every time I got a message, I needed to respond. I needed to be there. I needed to be this. And it was just like, well, wait a minute. If that's the case, you could have just stayed where you were. And did that, working for yourself, you should have some type of autonomy and kind of have some opportunity to kind of really break up your day and spend time with the kids and with yourself and with the Lord. But you also, like, you said, when I've read your bio, like you're a visionary and you're one of those people that you got to get it out. So you can't hold it. So if you're asleep and something hits you, you're probably one of the ones that either get up, write it down, or go to the computer.
I do. I put it in notes. Yeah. I'll hit Alexa and make a note. Is it Alexa? What are we? Siri. Make a note. I don't know. Mine is a British accent, so I forgot what I call it. Hey.
Yeah. So, yes, man, this has been fun. I am just honored to meet you finally. And
yes.
I know Marvin said, Miss Funderburk is the real deal. Those who know, we know.
So, thank you, Marvin.
Yes. So thank you so much for stopping by. And again, she is looking. So the information is in the comments if you're interested. Definitely. Are you going to do a posting or anything on IG or job posting? Or are you just going to kind of leave it like, okay.
Yeah. And if anyone's watching and you think you know somebody, let me know. I really want to know. I'm going to ask for some references because I really want to know that people can vouch for your character. And that's one of the things that's very important for me. Integrity, character, and that, since this is a Christian organization that I have, oh my God, I expect you guys to know Jesus. Okay.
I can't with you.
I'm so sorry. I really need you to, I need you to know that, I take my faith in Christ very serious. So there's a lot of stuff that we don't do over here that other people might do and think it's okay. We don't. And we try to stay out of people's mess, I'm the piano player in The Color Purple. You remember when they were at the juke joint and the guy was like, "Who this here woman?" And the piano player said, "Time to go." You remember that? Time to go. I'm getting my stuff. I'm out because we ain't trying to be in all this.
Listen, not at all, at all. Yep, and you're trying to make sure that you're who you say you are. In public is who you are in private, and that's huge. That's huge, and we all know. We've been to the award ceremonies. We've seen things. So I respect that. I God bless you, and I know that's why God is blessing you, because you definitely are a woman of integrity and making sure that you uphold His name in all places that you go.
Yes.
That's rare. That's rare.
And I think that's where the longevity comes. And I know we have to go, but I think that is where the longevity comes, how we can stay in this business for so long, how I've been doing EFG promotion since 2008. It's because when I do it for the Lord. I love the accolades. That's great. Yes, but I'm in a very thankless position. That's why sometimes having these conversations is like, y'all want to interview me? Who, me? I'm nobody. I'm just a little girl in the back trying to help. That's the
no, not when you let me just back up for those who are just here. When she got on, I said, congratulations on your number one. She said, which one? So you can't just say we gotta thank God, we gotta own it, because you said which one. You can't be the person in the back and talking about which number one am I talking about.
Hey, like, listen, hey,
it's not possible. So congratulations again, though.
Thank you.
You keep up the good work. You have a great rest of your day. Happy Women's History Month. We salute you, and you have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Thanks for joining Talks with Toya, where we're always working, always serving, and we're always about Him. Make sure you all tune in next week, and we have another great panelist on Wednesday, March 31st. I'm not going to tell you all the names. I gave you a sneak peek while we were waiting on Miss Eboni to come from her other event, and we just thank God for you, and good luck, and we're praying that you find the person you're looking for. All right, see ya. All right, bye.